Welcome to the Salt Stands Alone podcast. I'm Hank, and I stand alone. It's just me. And this week, I have now played Canadian Highlander, which is just 100 card singleton, vintage, card pool, and no cards. And but some cards have a points list where the best cards have there's a 10-point scale that you get to play with for your deck. So, and the best cards in the format have or the most, I don't know the term. There is a points list of cards that restricts your deck building. Like Moxen are 3 points. So you could theoretically play 3 Moxen for 3 points each, and then get one other 1-point card, like Nadu, Winged Wisdom, or whatever. So you can play with Black Ritual, you can play with Ancestral Recall, but you can't play with both of those cards, or whatever. And it limits you on your ability to play with other Moxen or whatever. Cool format. Been watching a lot of content around it. LRR, Loading Ready Run stuff. I'm also watching LJT, MTG. Yeah, LJT is another a YouTube channel of guys from Victoria who've played in that that scene. And it's like, really, the reason I'm doing this is there's no Gladiator events currently, and I'm fiending for tournament, casual competitive Magic. And the Canadian Highlander Discord's has already been running events, so that was the main thing. That's the main thing that's got me to do it now. I've had in my eye on it for a long time, but I didn't know how I would play it, because in that Discord there are 3 options that they mainly play with. They play with MTGO, webcam Magic, and using the program Cockroaches. Webcam Magic, I don't have a paper deck currently. I would have to proxy that up. That would take a little extra level of investment. MTGO, looking at it currently, it's still just kind of too expensive to get a MTGO deck for Canadian Highlander, and I don't know that the player base is large enough that I would play it enough that I want to justify that for that format currently. And Cockatrice is a program that I've known about for a long time. I must have messed with it over a decade ago or whatever. And had a bad experience. Found it impenetrable. I didn't get it. So I've been, working up my courage to confront this program, and I finally did, and it was fine. And I got a handle on it pretty quickly. And there is a learning curve, but now that I've sort of gotten over the hump, I actually think it's great. I actually think it's better than playing on Tabletop Simulator. It has a lot of advantages. Things just working. Your ability to generate tokens, not having to mess with TTS scripts that can be laggy. I get why people the ease of connecting and stuff. It's just like, oh, I get it. It's actually kind of hopping in there with the number of rooms I see being created too. As a free way to play Magic the Gathering, I understand. Good open source project. It's neat. And the things that I really like are, on your left, it actually has all the phases of the game that you get to click through. So you can clearly show what, part of the game you're in. communicate that both to keep track of it for yourself and communicating that to your opponent. And also the program like keeps a log of all the game actions you take, which is great because it means I get why people can play really like it for playing like a semi-competitive thing, because if you think like if you're doing an organized event with a random person and you think they cheated or whatever, you just submit the log to the tournament organizers and they can just go back and see what happened and then make a judgment based on that, which without, it just being he said, she said, or whatever. So that all seems smart. And you get to pick your printings and all the things that come with playing a digital client. It's easy once you know what you're doing, because you look at it, it's like a lot of menus, and it's like, what is this? What is this? How do I import a deck? I don't know. And there are YouTube tutorials and stuff. It's good. And like the main thing for me that made Cockatrice appealing is when the Canadian Highlander Discord runs their events. So the main thing for me is, again, I'm most invested in Gladiator. That's my favorite format currently. That's the community I feel the most invested in, or whatever. And they run events on Saturdays on the weekend. And the webcam weeklies are also on the Canadian Highlander Discord, are also at Saturdays at the same time as the Gladiator ones. So if they were both running at the same time, I would just be doing the Gladiator one on Arena anyway. But the Cockatrice ones run on Sunday. So even when if Gladiator's running, then I can still the next day do a Canlander event for fun. And that's cool and good to me. As someone who really likes playing this kind of Magic, and wants more of it, I'm hungry for more of this CCG, casual competitive gaming. I really like the thrill and pressure of tournament Magic, but it's still fun. But it's still for fun. That's such a good sweet spot for me. Because like at some level, it's like, oh, I should get into like actual tournament Magic that has stakes or whatever. It's like, and then you have entry fees, and you feel like you need to be playing a meta deck or whatever. It's more and those events are more tied up in having real cards or whatever, or you have to have an MTGO collection or be paying for an MTGO subscription, which is really the way that platform is built to be used now. It's part of why the cards are so expensive is because people aren't cracking them in wide numbers, so the availability of stuff is low. It's not that like it is a supply and demand thing, and I think the supply is just not huge. Yeah. I have regrets about not buying into Vintage when Arena on MTGO when Arena came out and prices were pretty low. Regrets. But yeah, Canlander. Canlander is fun. I've been having fun. I've only been playing my one deck. I've been playing Moist Abzan or whatever. Like the deck in Canlander that is closest to the deck that I've been is kind of closest to my heart in Gladiator. Nadu combo stuff. But you get to play Shuko, you get to play Gaia's Cradle, you get to play Moxen. And so I took a stock licks from canlanddex.com, which is a new website that LJT MTG was doing a promotional tournament for, and it's a cool resource, but mostly it's just compiling the Moxfield Canadian Highlander tournament winning deck lists database and presenting it with like metagame stat stuff and some write-ups from players about the top archetypes and stuff. So I was looking for, what are the best, the most successful Bright Glass Gearhulk decks in this format. And like part of me, I was also thinking about Time Vault. A lot of the Time Vault decks are not playing Bright Glass anymore or whatever, and those decks are so in on the combo. That's not really where I want it to be, because whenever I look at Canadian Highlander decks for Gladiator ideas, the thing I'm always struck by is they just always seem fucking soft. They seem way more in on combo and way softer to creatures, to aggro or whatever, than I would like, but that I think works in Gladiator. Part of that's because you get these like percentage of your games, you get these fast mock starts, and you just get to go off and sort of bypass that part of the game anyway or whatever. But also I realized that like a year ago or something, Wheeler was on a North 100 showdown talking about he described it as like you're playing a deck where they're just playing more creatures, and he was like, and he compared it to a fighting game player who's just doing wake up Shoryukens on you and just like not respecting. And he's like, if it felt disrespectful, like, why are you not giving me time? Why are you not playing more, having more removal in your hand so I have time to do my thing? Why do you keep punching me in the face? And that stuck with me. And I just randomly rewatched that video recently and realized, oh, that was like a year ago or something. that idea got put in my brain. So I really wanted to play a Canadian Highlander deck that was heavier on creatures and just like attacked people or whatever. So I'm playing this Nadu deck that's like, it is a creature combo deck, but also you're just playing like 40 creatures. So you just have a board presence so you can apply pressure when if your opponent's like not doing stuff or whatever. And then I just ended up playing red decks anyways. I played the Mirror in round 1, and we went to time on game 1, but I managed to win that game. And then I played Boros and lost, and then I played Rakdos and won. And I got fucking smushed by Boros, but the Rakdos game was tighter. I did kind of throw round 2, but I think I lose anyway because I knew my opponent had a Price in Progress in hand, and I needed to not play a land, and then I just played the land. It's like, oh, that was stupid. But also, what I wanted to do was Nadu combo off, but that would also just put a land into place. So I think I was just fucking dead, and didn't think about it enough. I got to see cool things like my Boros opponent playing Carnage Interpreter with an Ocelot Pride in play and an Urza Saga in play and getting 10 clues and then being able to create a absurd, or 8 clues, an absurd construct token. That was fun. My opponent was certainly cackling. And there is a thing about playing Magic on a client that doesn't manage the rules for you, where you have to state the actions you're taking, like verbally, that I do think makes me play better. Because I have felt this with playing a lot of Arena, that it's so much easier to go on autopilot, and I'm just like clicking stuff. And sometimes that just results in me playing worse or whatever. Or like keeping a hand that I should spend the extra 3 seconds to think about and maybe mulligan. And that's definitely a thing I want to work on this year. It's just making... I think I'm just at a point... I just need to make my play a little sharper. So I think playing a little bit more in a form where I have to talk about it, and that could be like going to paper events, but there is something about doing it in this space at the computer that I do think is good for, you know, getting my brain in the right place for playing competitive Magic, rather than like, you know, ladder grinding or whatever, where you just... Because that's a mode of engaging with Magic where really you just want to be on autopilot. It's just like, yeah, we're just doing the thing. We have a thing we're doing. We're going to do it over and over again. Let's fucking go. Because I've also been trying, incidentally, I've been playing more... I've been trying to figure out like the headspace for best of one standard. Because that's a format that I have the least amount of respect for a thing that I know is widely played and widely popular. And my thing with it was always, it's like, it's fake. It bypasses rules of Magic that make the game work. So whenever I see someone complaining about the meta of best of one, I'm like, well, yeah, you're playing a fake format. I'm like, it's not. But, like, you know, when it's one of the major ways people engage with Magic, and in reality, you know, that's just Magic to some people. That's what the game is to... And the largest chunk of people that play Constructed, and aren't just limited players, which I don't know the comparison numbers on, but I assume it's, like, more people on Arena. And it's interesting, and I don't... Like, I could be dismissive about it, but also, like, there's a reason people do it. It's because it's low time investment or whatever. You can do a game really much quicker. My main thing is it feels so much worse to try and get ranks on the ladder when you have a good deck, like a decent deck. Like, it's just so much slower to... It feels slower to me to have to win 2 games to get... Or to... At every game, you're getting half the rank up of if you do a match. Where... So if you're doing matches, like, if you go on a win streak, it's so much more impactful. If you lose, it's also much more impactful. But, you know, when you're getting... The sweet spot to me to doing a ladder run is you're winning at least 60% of your games. That's when I feel like you're winning at a rate that the time investment for how long it's going to take you to hit Mythic is like a thing that I might do or whatever, if I kept playing. And all that is to say that the metagame on Best of One is different and much more aggro heavy, because it's people playing decks that are, You know, you get to play a cheesy deck that could be sideboard against pretty easily, but also you're just trying to do the thing as quickly as possible. You're trying to ladder as fast. You're trying to get through your games as quickly as you can, or whatever. So, all this to say, I found a deck currently in current standard that just that I like, that fits that. And I've been playing a Simic Stompy deck that uses it builds into Ouroboros stuff and uses Badger Mole Cub and a bunch of the Bloomburrow cards. And importantly, it uses the Spider-Man card, the Jackal. Although she's threw me the Omen Pass card I really like because it's a reference to the lady who made Slivers. So it's on Arena. It's Drunith, Reviver of the Hive. It's just a scientist lady who's doing sliver stuff. And I just think that's sick. Human, and it's a reference to Ruka Biologist, the 5-color commander card. That's a human wizard that's like slivers and non-token creatures you control are the type you choose. So you get to build a slivers and kindred deck, typal deck or whatever, which I just think is very funny. Like, I just like that idea. So I like that they made Jackal like a creature like that. And what Jackal does is, when it comes in as a 2-mana 1/1 with trample, and whenever you play a creature spell has mana value equal to her power, you also get a copy of that, and then she gets a 1/1 counter. So it's incremental. And that works really well with the Bloomburrow Offspring stuff, because if you have you play the only one you play is the 2/1 green rabbit, but if you Offspring it, you get double. Instead of getting 2 creatures, you get 4 creatures, which is sick. That's fun. And you're just trying to make a wide board, and then you play an Ouroboros and you kill them. Simple stuff. And it's, you know, and it's not the thing. And the thing is, I think it's been better in best of 1 than I've had luck with it in best of 3. But mostly it's that I don't really want to. The thing that's really driving me isn't even any of that. It's that I just don't want to sideboard it. Like, I actually think the list is pretty tight with the stuff that you want. So it just makes for a good best of 1 deck, because I want to do my plan with this particular deck, aggro deck, and I don't care what your plan is, and it's working, so I don't need to, right? I'm like 30-17 with this deck, it looks like. And I've just seen a better variety. I don't know. It's just a thing I've been doing. You know, sometimes you're in a spot. You're like, I like this deck. I'm just gonna jam it. And when I was doing best of 3, I wasn't really even using my sideboard cards. So, meh. Yeah. You see less of Is It Lessons in best of 1 currently. I don't know, or like the best, less of the Demir deck. Like I actually have just found the current standard meta more annoying than the best of 1 meta, I guess I would say. Even though it's still fake magic, but whatever. It's about finding the place you're having fun. And I do enjoy finding the fun in a place that I previously was like, this is not for me. It's kind of my favorite thing, is finding the turnaround of saying, like, I used to think this was dog shit or whatever, and now saying, oh, now I get it. Now I get it. I've turned it around. I've found a way for this to be fun for me. That it's kind of my favorite thing in all things, is to flip that. But yeah, Highlander. Can't believe I ended up talking about standard. Because the thing is, I haven't played that much Highlander. Like I played against K-Head to test out Cockroaches and sort of learn it once, and then I just went into this event, and I haven't even been playing random Discord games. Because the idea of having to talk to a stranger just for fun and play with a straight, like just for jams, is like actually not that appealing to me. In that case I like the a little bit more anonymity of just playing on Arena and just having to say LFG, yep, and then saying GG at the end or whatever. The stress of managing the rules of the game is just like, do I want to do that just for no reason? But for a tournament, I think it's great. I think it's I'm much more willing to do that for stupid stakes that don't matter. I don't know. It's hard to describe why it tickles me so, but it's like you put up a small amount of progression to it, and I'm just more invested. And that's kind of true of just how I engage with games in general. Now that I think about it, I just need enough of a carrot, and then I can really go in on it. Like laddering in games is fun if you find the game fun. It gives you a reason to keep doing the thing. Stay invested or whatever. But yeah, so I've also made a bunch of changes to this Nadu deck. Just to make it feel more my own, like playing the cards I want to play, playing into the stuff. And I don't know if it's better. Like I swapped out White Plume for Reanimate. I cut so I could cut Unearth to play other stuff. The deck, I mean, the big thing was the deck wasn't on the list that I took wasn't on Guide of Souls Ocelot Pride, and that seemed insane to me. Like, one of the main things I wanted to do was play Guide of Souls Ocelot Pride with Bright Glassgear Hulk, which is kind of a different deck, but I want to do that and Nadu things. Is like where I am. I don't want to go all in on. I didn't need to like say, oh, we're just focusing on doing all Nadu things, because Guide of Souls Ocelot Pride also works with it. You get all these creatures. I don't know. It seems crazy to me to not play all those things. Like, the deck wasn't on a Johnny. I put a Johnny in. But you do have to cut stuff. Like, you have 100 cards, but you can't do everything. There are so many good cards now. You can't play all of them. So, like, I had to cut Pre-Formal Wear as one of the last cards I cut, which kind of seems crazy because that card's really good, but It's 3 mana. I don't know. I did cut and then uncut crop rotation. I was like, I don't need crop rotation. I'm like, but I have Graya's Cradle. I can grab Bajuka Bog. And the other big thing I did was the deck wasn't on every Surveil land in its color combo, and I was like, no, I want all of them. I will even go up on lands to play all of them. So I think I'm playing 37 lands in my Canlander deck, which I think is insane compared to like where people who play this format are. And I'm like, I want to cast my spells, man. I want lands. Give me lands. I want my Moxen to be accelerant and pushing me forward, not just replacing my land drops. But also replace. I mean, they are replacing my land drops because I want to be on 40 lands. So, you cut 2 lands for your Moxen. It only puts me at 37. It doesn't take me down to 30 lands. God. 34. And that's just a mulliganing thing. Like, when you play fewer lands, I find you get more hands where you have to mulligan. And I fucking hate mulliganing. My deck is so consistent with tutors and searching that I'm not looking for like these spiky games of having the perfect combo stuff. I'm looking for a game where I have stuff and then it will work itself out because there is a consistency to how the deck is built. Is also the thing. And in that case, I just don't want to. I would rather start with the 7. I did get Blood Mooned, which doesn't feel good. It is the funny thing. Like I'm looking at the top performing decks in the meta or whatever. Like the most number of winning tournament event decks. That is sort of the only metric of the format the community tracks. Because, like, to get onto the Winner's Archive, like, you're only putting, if you're, for a weekly, you're only putting in 1 deck. It's only the deck that wins that gets in there. So the meta that you're seeing is the meta of all the winning decks, not the decks that are close and are the decks that those decks are preying on, right? So when you're building a deck to combat those top decks, like if you're trying to metagame for it, actually what you end up facing are the decks that deck is beating or whatever. So it's actually a different, and maybe your deck is fucking trash at beating those decks. Like maybe you could consistently beat the top decks, but you consistently lose to the decks that aren't winning tournaments or whatever. But people run because they like them, or that's their style or whatever. That stuff's interesting. And I think it's a way in which you need to play a meta to really get a feel for it. IMO. Just like, when you engage something, when you get your hands in it and squeeze, get dirty, you get a broader understanding than if you just look at it from afar or whatever. So that's also a fun thing that I'm looking forward to, is having a little better idea about what people are doing. And I don't know. But I think I was just blind as to how much Blood Moon people play in Canadian Highlander. I think there's just way more Blood Moon than I thought there was. And that's fine. And maybe one day I will play a different deck than this deck that I do think is kind of weak to Blood Moon. Because the place I like being when you face a lot of Blood Moon stuff is being the deck that doesn't lose to Blood Moon rather than being the Blood Moon deck. Has been my experience with trying to play Blood Moon decks. Like, there aren't, like, just Blood Moon in a 100-card singleton is not enough IMO to be a strat. Like, you definitely hose people, and you will lose to it, but I don't know. I also don't think it's consistent enough to be the thing. But it kind of is the thing, because the deck that doesn't happen is the mono, if mono red goblins or mono red burn or aggro or whatever is just gonna like kick your ass, and then you have this Blood Moon that doesn't do anything. But that's the deck that kind of doesn't exist. Like, there are plenty of red decks in Canlander, but it's the mono red decks that have sort of vanished, I guess. So that makes more sense to me why Blood Moon's so good. Because you don't have because the next level of the red decks that would prey on those compromised red decks or impure red decks or whatever doesn't exist, because they can't beat Barrowgrave at all or whatever. Like, they die to the mid-range decks just have threats that they can't, and the combo decks are fast enough, or whatever it is. Probably the mid-range decks they can't beat. I don't know. Shit's interesting. It's interesting. And it's just fun to, jump into this pool. And because it's definitely a thing of like, why do I care about Canadian Highlander at all? It's because they're some of my favorite Magic content currently happens to be about that format. It's really it. And it's because the vintage content that I loved went away. The vintage Super League just hasn't existed for half a decade. I don't like actual competitive formats. Their metagames are too standard. Their metagames are too small for me to be that interested in the content. Like, I will watch a Pro Tour or whatever occasionally. But even then, you're seeing this just the same stuff over and over again, and it stops being that interesting. Whereas, watching Canadian Highlander content, I'm seeing new decks all the time or whatever. There's plenty of wild stuff. There's just more variety in the games and in the lines of play and in the decks. It's more engaging to me. It's more interesting, more fun. It's not as the smaller sample size, because it's just less games being played and that stuff means that the variance is higher within those games, so it's much harder to solve them, to like have the best answer or whatever. Like, you can have answers for any given thing, but are those the answers that are going to be good today? They might be the answers that were good last week, but tomorrow is another day, and you might be facing something weird. And that's what makes Magic the best game, is that it's always interesting. There's always new stuff, whether that's new cards or not. And there are new cards. Also playing it in it didn't really come up. playing in the Canlander cockatrice week because it's cockatrice. We just got to play with the Lorwyn cards were just legal, so I put in that new tutor elf, and I cut survival to fittest, because I'm like, one good tutor where I can discard any card, not just a creature. But and also have a creature that can give me a Nadu trigger or untap Gaia's Cradle. That seems better. And is tutorable off a creature tutor or whatever for extra fun. I don't know. Not that you're not Eldritch Evolutioning into that. That's silly. But I don't know, you could do that. Eldritch Evolution your elf into that guy, into discard a card for Bright Glass. Although you've sacked your elf, so you're down a mana in terms of casting Bright Glass. Is that lane fake? I don't know. I did turn 2 Eldritch Evolution a dork into a Barrowglyph that immediately got murdered. That didn't feel great. Sometimes you just need to be slower. Sometimes doing the thing the fastest just runs your face into the removal spell, but then you're like, oh, but now I'm out of resources. So it's interesting. I did get to Talon. I also got to Talon Gates phase out an opposition agent so I could do a bunch of tutoring. That was sick. That was fucking sick. I've definitely I was looking at Talon Gates being like, do I want this land? This land good. I want the mana to cast my spells, but the adding an extra, having the ability of tap one, add mana of any color, I think makes it is actually a big deal on that card, and the phase ability on it is so powerful. For specifically hitting an opposition agent or hitting a shield red, so that you can, use your Skull Clamp or whatever. Because that also happened where I was like, I've Cloud Skull Clamp. My opponent has Bowmaster, and I did walk face first into that one too. But I was like, oh no, now my Ocelot Pride's dead. Oh well. Whoops. Learning. Maybe one day I'll learn how to play around Ogrish Bowmaster. Sag abilities are so tough. They're so tough. Magic's hard. But I went 2-1. That felt pretty fucking sick for my first event. Still, and only went to time once. Thanks to red deck players in my 2 or 3. But I didn't face any counter. I didn't face Force of Will. I didn't face a control deck. So I'm still waiting for. I'm still wanting that experience, I guess. I don't know. Am I? Do I want that? I mean, what I want are Gladiator events to come back. God damn it. Also, I want Lorwyn Eclipse to come out, which is a day away. And it's so funny. I don't want to brew. I want to brew with these cards, and I could, but I want to brew with them in Arena. There's something. It's not the best way to. It's not a great tool for brewing a deck, but I gotten used to it, and I like seeing the cards that I have, rather than building on Moxfield. I don't know. I should just build the thing I want to build on Moxfield, and then it would be ready, and I could just import it. Am I gonna do that? Probably not. Probably not. I also got to see a glimpse of. I was watching someone draft in the Gladiator Discord. I was watching someone who's streaming the Magic Online Supreme Cube. And this is like Magic Online has done. This is the arms race has begun now that our Arena has Vintage Cube. MTGO is like, all right, we need powerful, harder drugs to appeal to the sickos. So we're doing Vintage Supreme Cube, where you draft. The way Supreme Cube works is you get 2 picks from a pack, and then that pack is thrown in the garbage, and you get another pack, and you just draft from, like, in this case, they've upped it. It used to be like 18, and in this one it was 26 packs, where you just get to pick 2 packs over and over again, and it's Vintage Cube, and they're duplicates of cards that aren't in the cube of cards that aren't on the restricted list. And also they put in the Magic Online only promotional Glee Mox card, which is a Mox that just produces mana of any color and says this card is banned on it. So you get to play with that too, which is hilarious. So you could just have these decks where you get like 4 Moxen, Ancestral, Black Lotus, and a bunch of other stuff. Like, it's just like the power level of these decks is insane. It's definitely like you just have, you know, your draft deck is nuclear capable. So the big way I saw, so it's described by Justin Gennari I haven't watched his video. I should watch his video. But the title on it was just, is this format stronger than Vintage? Because you basically get to you get to draft a constructed deck in terms of power level, basically. So if you know the combos that are strong in Vintage in terms of, like, you know, Underworld Breach or Tinker Citadel or whatever, like, you can just draft those decks. Although what's interesting is mostly I saw my opponent getting fucking put in the dirt by Karn the Great Creator, turning off his Moxen. It's like, look at all this shit I have. I could do whatever. My opponent plays Karn. Fuck, I'm dead. Or like, you know, you play your hate piece and your opponent concedes. Like, you resolve a Trinisphere and your opponent concedes immediately. That seems to be how that format works. So it's not really that I find it. Watching a draft of it, I found it overwhelming. But I feel like if I did it myself now, having thought about it, like I could get over that. The thing is, always getting first pick. You don't get. I don't think it gives you the thrill of like, why does everybody pass Parallax Wave? Nobody takes Parallax Wave in Vintage Draft. What are you doing? And also, like, these smaller cases of, like, oh, Minskin Boo is just so fucking good in regular Vintage Cube or whatever. Like, that doesn't exist because you do the actually good stuff of Vintage, and as someone who watches a bunch of Vintage, I'm watching Vintage every week still. Even if I wish I had a content creator I liked maybe a little bit more. Justin's fine, but you know, I talked about my issues with him tilting off recently. So he's you know, he's the best doing it currently, for sure. But like, so I have a knowledge of like what decks in that format look like. The thrill of seeing a version of that is like not that high of like drafting that. Like the interest, it is a thing of like Vintage Cube has its own flavor of stuff that happens because you draft this way. And I just think draft is a better format than Supreme Draft. Supreme Draft is like, I don't know, it's instead of a little sugary snack, it's your stuff in your face with a fucking entire cake. I don't know. It's like it's a little much. I don't know. That's where I draw the line. That's where it starts being like this is just kind of gross. But also I like the idea of like just drafting Karn and putting people in the dirt. I also like putting people in the dirt. But I don't love engaging with Magic Online. I don't know. I always want to be engaging more with Magic Online, and then I like try, and I'm like, I don't know. The economics of this, I just don't like. Because every time I've, you know, invested in it, I feel like it doesn't really pay off. Like I'll build these decks that are kind of budgety, but it's still money. And then I'll play them for a bit, and then I'll forget, and then those decks are not good anymore. And those cards aren't worth anything. I don't know. It's a thing. But also, like, Supreme Draft has been running, and Power Cubed has been back on Arena. So I'm playing. If I'm, playing something, I'm playing Power Cubed on Arena. That's just where I'm at. That's what I prefer to do. And I've been doing that, and that's fun. It's fun. I probably have more fun hanging out in the Gladiator Discord and backseating people drafting. Like, I actually kind of think that's more fun for me. Again, because it doesn't have like the I'm not investing. I'm not gambling. I don't actually like gambling. And that's kind of what you're doing every time you pay into an event that then you're trying to win at. You're gambling on yourself, but you are gambling. I don't like gambling. I don't enjoy it, actually. I like watching other people gamble. That's fun. I like putting people in the dirt. That's what I like to do. I like playing this. I've been playing this Esper Counter Reanimator deck in LFG. And I am currently 9-1 with that deck. And that feels good. 90% win rate? Ooh. I need to play with it more so that number goes down, because that's too high. Like, that deck's not that good. Yeah, I'm gonna the decks I've been playing. Like, it is a thing of like, when I just play an LFG, my win rates, and like, you're playing against a random people, I just feel like my win rates go up, and I need to play in more tournaments and against better players, or against players playing better tuned decks that kill me, so my win rate goes down. I need to be held back a little bit more in the way I want to be held down, because like, if I'm just losing to stupid combo, and then I tune my deck to beat the combo, and then I die to mono red, that's what I hate the most in life. In terms of playing tournament Magic. That's the most frustrating. These fake fucking combo players are tricking me into playing combo hate when what I need is things so that I don't die to mono red. Okay? That's my experience with playing Magic the Gathering. It's all this combo propaganda about how good your combo deck is and how powerful it is or whatever. And then I get lightning bolted or whatever. And my life total just vanishes. Ugh. That's my struggle. Anyway. See you next week. Peace!